the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
And good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It is 8 o'clock, and it is time for episode 241 of the Ron and Brian podcast. Brian setting a new current personal streak of attending 2 podcasts in a row. Credit to you, my friend. Bringing the heat. How are you this Sunday night, sir?
Oh, Ron. I'm going to put my naysayers to shame this week. I'll save it for the my beef of the week.
Okay.
But I'm bringing it this week.
Oh, I look forward to it. This is a great idea from Allie. We need Ron and Brian specific emojis. Let's get Matt working on that. He actually this week used about half the amount of cocaine that he normally does in a week. So I feel like he's headed in the right direction.
It's called progress. Not everybody can handle cold turkey. Like you went cold turkey with your crystal methamphetamine addiction in the early aughts. I mean, you were putting Walter White, to shame in terms of the amount of crystal meth that you personally were manufacturing and smoking. One day you just woke up, you'd hit rock bottom. You'd woken up in bed with 4 naked midgets. And you just said to yourself, you know what? Wiping the lube out of your between your butt cheeks, you just said, this is my rock bottom. I can't do this anymore. And you've never smoked crystal meth again.
No.
Matt, on the other hand, he does not have the willpower to just say, stop, I'm done. So we're hoping that he just gets slightly better every week.
Now for you, I remember it was OxyContin. And you were the hillbilly heroin. You were hitting it pretty hard. And I remember we were at a Cinco de Mayo party with Rush Limbaugh, and Rush looked over at you and said, "Brian, you might want to slow it down a bit." And that's when I think it really dawned on you how bad your addiction had become.
Well, I think it was the fact that it was having such a detrimental effect to my family.
Yeah,
when Rush says you have a problem, you have a problem.
Exactly. Well, now we stick to just pure alcohol. That means it's time for Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie!
Salud!
Drink of the Week!
Pleasure! Pause.
Drink of the Week! Drink of the Week! Drink of the Week! Drink of the Week!
Brian, what are you drinking this week, sir?
Listen, you know how every week I like to come in with a brand new beer. I hate repeating beers. I absolutely despise doing it. We avoid it. However, this week we're going to make an exception to that rule. The kind folks over at Estrella, which is Spain's official beer, they were so happy with the review that I gave last week during our Drink of the Week segment. Sat there and they sent me a case of their Estrella Dam, which is it's their lager. Look at this beautiful. Ooh.
Very nice. Very nice.
So I am drinking once again this week, for those people that missed it last week. This is Estrella Dam, brewed following the original 1876 recipe using barley, malt, rice, hops, 100% natural ingredients. It's golden color, tones of amber, slight shades of green. It is bright, it is sparkling, and it is going in my belly. Estrella Dam coming in at 5.4 ABV. Once again, this is a repeat delicious beer. I know I'm going to like it as much as I did last week. Here I go.
There you go. All the way from Spain. Memories of your expulsion from the U.S. But they're that delicious.
Oh, it's so good. Ron.
Yes.
What are you drinking this week?
So once again, tore into the Tavor box and pulled out a little something from the good people at Bear Bottle Brew Company out of San Francisco. This is their Lean Mean Tangerine Sour Ale. We're talking Cascade hops, Brian. We're talking blood orange juice. We're talking passion fruit juice. We're talking tangerine juice. and we're talking a little bit of vanilla bean. We are also talking 6% ABV. It's got a very nice orangish hue to it. If you remember last week, I had a sour.
Sure.
Was not a huge fan of it. I am hoping this is just tart. So I'm hoping this is not going to be like the experience I had last week, but let's go.
Well, I know that you like your sours, but you don't love them to chew over. Oh,
that's good. It's to your point, the perfect level of sour. It's a little bit tart. You get a little bit of a pucker, but you get, I'm going to put this one automatically in my top 5 sours of all time.
Really? Walk me through. What are the flavor profiles that you're getting?
I mean, I'm getting the tangerine. I'm getting the orange. Not getting as much of the passion fruit, but it's very smooth. Again, not too sour. Just a little bit of tartness gives you a little bit of a pucker. Not overly carbonated. It is all that I would have hoped it would be.
That's awesome.
Some questions out there. William Esquire asking, is the Ron and Brian title belt damaged or is it just bad lighting? It's just bad lighting. I'm still playing around. Eventually this will elevate itself higher than myself. But I felt like you guys couldn't get a good enough look at it last week. So I wanted to prop the title belt up even further this week. Guy Bannister back listening to the show again this week.
That's awesome. Hey, Guy.
He's been gone for a while. He's asking, what cool t-shirt is Brian wearing tonight? Brian, last couple of weeks, you've been rocking some new gear. Anything to show the people this week? Wow. That's got a very Iron Maiden vibe to it.
That it does. Once again, this is January 2023 is the month of Ron. And, as we say farewell, as he does his last wrap around as champion of the podcast, we want to celebrate him in the right way. So how do I do it? I am wearing my third Ron shirt of the month. These have been selling like hotcakes. I've been selling these used on eBay. The rainbow colored one that had Ron on multiple lines, that I believe went for a little bit over $12,000 on eBay. Proceeds all went to charity. Last week's shirt, which had more of a graffiti style handwriting saying Ron, that went for slightly under $8,000. People I think are basically they are speaking with their wallets. We have raised over $20,000 to go towards Ron's favorite charity on eBay. Thanks. I'll be putting this one up later on this week. One more look.
Very
that
metal.
Is right.
Very,
people.
very metal.
Very metal. This is Ron.
So good question. I mean, when eventually will you get a t-shirt that just says EB repeatedly pointing down towards your crotch?
When I do a podcast with EB.
Oh, fair statement. Fair statement. All right. Well, without any further ado, it's time for our beef of the week.
Ron and Brian's beef of the week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
What's bothering me is the fake Republican outrage over Joe Biden stepping forward and coming clean about the possession of classified documents that he had in his personal home from the time period of when he was vice president. Apparently, this seems to be a thing. Apparently, presidents and vice presidents, because they are the level of importance within the country, are in possession of a lot of classified materials, bringing it home, probably a practice that should be stopped immediately. But when Donald Trump left the White House back in January of 2021, almost instantly, it was noted, correct? 2021,
yeah,
correct?
Right.
The election was 20.
I had to think about it.
I felt very confident until I saw the look on your face when you gave me a quizzical look. Immediately, I just went to, I screwed up. But almost immediately upon leaving, apparently there were some missing boxes over a period of a year and a half, I guess it was. negotiations between the Library of Congress and the National Archives and Trump's lawyers, basically back and forth, denial of any possession of classified materials. Finally, there was the raid on Mar-a-Lago, at which point Donald Trump threw a fit saying, "These are my documents, give them back. These are absolutely nothing to see here." And the Republican Party said absolutely nothing. Earlier this week, Joe Biden's representative stepped forward and said, as they were cleaning out his Delaware home, there was a box in the garage that apparently had 6 classified documents. He wanted to step forward and surrender them back to the National Archives. And now you've got the Republicans stepping forward, demanding a congressional investigation, which we know, as they are now in control of the House of Representatives, are these investigations will take place, and they will be dramatically a waste of time.
And I guess the question is, should we even bother with the process of classifying documents? Because it doesn't seem like the government can hold on to documents. I feel like the enemy ends up with these documents. They end up in people's homes, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden. And I feel like that's not the only home. Like, I feel like if you went through Bush, Obama, all of them, you would find documents that, and it sounds like, I mean, in Biden's case, it sounds like an intern just kind of boxed up his desk at the end of his vice presidential term, and Biden just threw it in a garage and never looked at it again.
Sure. But I think the greater contrast between this case and the one with Trump was that Biden is surrendering these documents,
oh, sure.
whereas Trump went to incredible legal means to keep the documents, and also is just the fact of no, I think that really was my point.
I mean, I think it's been implied that Trump even used them as a selling point to come to Mar-a-Lago, like, hey, come to Mar-a-Lago, donate to my campaign and get to see top secret nuclear documents.
Well, I thought that they were come to Mar-a-Lago, give money to my campaign, and I'll show you topless photos of Melania.
I mean, everybody has those already.
Yeah, but do you think Trump knows that?
That's true. Good point. Valid point. As always, valid point.
It's probably not even pictures of Melania. It's probably pictures of some just, a miscellaneous Czechoslovakian woman. Ron.
Yes, sir.
What's bothering you?
What's bothering me this week, and I've kind of complained about this before, is Facebook Marketplace. But again, more this week, the people who try to buy things from you on Facebook Marketplace, we're trying to get rid of some of the clutter around the house. Obviously, I want the title belt to be able to kind of take center stage in our living room. So we got to sell some things off. So 2 things happened this week. One was I had an item that has been listed for a week or so now, and people will message and be like, hey, is this still available? And I would say, yes, it's still available. Let me know if you want to come pick it up. And then hear nothing additional from them. And then I had another item where it had been up for a couple of weeks, and this woman messaged me and was like, hey, is this still available? I'm interested. And I happened to be at my computer when she messaged, so I wrote right back. I said, it's available. I'm working from home the rest of this week, so let me know if you'd like to arrange a pickup. To which she responded, no thanks, I'm not interested right now. Well, then why the fuck did you just message me to ask me if it was still available?
That just, I'm painfully confused by that.
Right. As was I. Like, you literally started a conversation with me to find out if an item was available, and now you're like, well, I'm not interested right now.
So strange.
It's society, Brian. I mean,
question.
Yes.
Is there any way that I can search on Facebook Marketplace for some of these items that you're selling?
Possibly. I'm not sure.
Well, looks like Brian's got some activities to keep on for the next couple days.
I mean, I have some. I only have one item left for sale at the moment. So, I mean, if you want to see if I have it available, we can definitely talk dollars and cents. I wouldn't normally ship this item, but for you, quite possibly.
Is it by any chance a podcast wrestling belt?
It is not. Just a clock, Brian. Just a wall clock right now.
A wall clock? Is it? It's not the wall clock I got you for Christmas 2 years ago.
No, I would never get rid of that.
Sure hope not.
With the big Brian head and your arms with little arms. No, that I keep in my office. That
all right.
Not this office. Like I couldn't show you here in this office. It's in my my other secondary office.
Oh, sure. Of course. So let me ask you, like, if how do you often are you selling these, or are you just simply trying to get rid of them?
No, if we were trying to get rid of them, we do have like a pay it forward page that we list stuff on, and we usually just do like a porch pickup where we leave it out front. This is stuff that we feel has a little bit of value, and we try and get some money for it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I was able to get rid of 2 items today, so I can't complain 100%. But
what did you sell?
I got rid of an entryway console and a radiator cover.
What is an entryway console?
So it's like a cabinet dresser type thing. It had like 3 drawers. It was in our main hallway. You have no idea why we own these things. My wife just
when you walk in from the garage entrance or the front door.
Either, because that hallway connects the two.
Yeah, but where was the console in your house?
It was probably closer to that back door.
Okay, I think I have an idea what you're talking about.
All right.
Was that the one that had a photo of me with my arms up in the air, dangling as
that
the
was
hours
that
went
was
by?
not that one. No,
different one.
Different one. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough. Let's see. What do we have on the docket? We have a new bit. Maybe we do the new bit a little later on.
Let's save that.
We get to some stories, and I guess the first one is, wow, Brian, this is shocking. We have not had a shooting story to talk about since last week's podcast.
Sure.
So Monterrey Park, California, Saturday night at a dance club, a gunman kills 10 and wounds at least 10 more following a Lunar New Year's celebration. The next day, apparently, he turned the gun on himself inside a van as police apparently were coming to apprehend him.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. Yes. So I don't know that they have identified the suspect. There was a photo on New York Post of someone slumped over a wheel in a white van. Brian, you gave me some information on this story. Would you care to fill the audience in on what we know so far?
Yeah, so apparently it was a nightclub in a predominantly Asian neighborhood, Monterrey Bay, I believe it was, in California. They were celebrating the Chinese New Year. Apparently, a gunman walked into a nightclub and started shooting. 10 people were killed. 10 people additionally were injured, various levels of severity. The news immediately started to put a spin on the story that it was a angry white conservative who was somehow going to tie this to COVID, MAGA, QAnon, whatnot. As the day progressed, suddenly police started to put out photos. It looks as if late in the day, a police officer gave an interview where apparently it was a husband of a woman that was partying inside the club who had not been invited to join the rest of the family in the club for the New Year celebration, was told that he was not invited, instead showed up with his handgun and shot 20 people.
It seems like a bit of an overreaction. Like
I would agree.
And again, it said the guy was somewhere between 30 and 50. Looking at the photo, probably pushing 50, a little bit more. I don't know about you, Brian.
Unfortunately, he's not going to make it to 51.
I don't know about you, Brian. I'm 50. And if someone said to me, hey, we're all going to a dance club on Saturday night, but you don't have to go, I'd be like, oh, thank God and baby Jesus.
Yes, absolutely. I would be thrilled. I would be thrilled to not be invited to that.
Like, I would be more likely to shoot up the club if you made me go. And I was just like, I got to get home. I got to get some sleep.
It would be the only way you get home early.
Also, follow up from a story I covered a couple weeks ago. The 6-year-old who shot his kindergarten teacher in Newport News, Virginia. His family came out this past week making their first public statement, claiming that their child has a, quote, acute disability and had been under an intensive care plan at school. The boy had actually previously been accompanied in school each day by his mother or father as part of the plan for his disability, and that the week of the shooting was the first time that a parent was not in class. The statement that was read by their family lawyer also said that the gun had been, quote unquote, secured, but did not explain how the boy had gotten access to it.
So apparently it wasn't secured.
According to them, it was secured, but a 6-year-old with an acute disability was apparently able to find a way to get it still.
Interesting.
This family seems extremely tone deaf to me. Like, I don't think, and again, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think anyone is really looking at the kid and saying, what's wrong with this kid? I'm personally saying, what's wrong with this family where a 6-year-old has easy access to what was probably a loaded gun? Because I don't know. I have a hard time picturing a 6-year-old being able to load a gun all by himself, carry it to the school. There's too much where it's got to be, there has to be some sort of liability which rests with the parents here.
Yes, they're absolutely. I mean, I think, to me, the most disgusting part of this is the family's attempt to kind of push the mental illness onto the child. Apparently, he had threatened to stab a different teacher recently in the weeks leading up to the shooting. And apparently, to try to put the blame on this off the parents' shoulders, the family are stepping forward to try to point out what is not their responsibility. Really, just disgusting on the parents' part to sit there and lay out their child's medical issues.
And what's also interesting, and this has come out since, is that apparently the school, Rich Neck Elementary, had received a tip that the child might have a video, or she might have a gun, and an employee searched the boy's backpack, did not find a weapon at that time. But then at 2:00, the boy held up the handgun in his first grade classroom and fired one shot at his teacher.
So this was the same day?
This was the same day.
Wow. So they knew he had a gun.
They had heard, but they did not find one on him. But again, how did they receive a tip? And again, maybe he was showing it to kids before he went into school. So I guess, there's a lot that doesn't sound quite right about this entire story still. And I think it's going to be a little bit, there's an investigation obviously going on as to how the school handled things. There's an investigation into the parents. So I have a feeling there's going to be more information that comes out of this in the coming weeks and months.
Speaking of which, Janelle's saying that we should show the video that Ali posted in the chat.
I'm not showing any. Oh, wait, hold on. Is this it? Is this in the private chat that you sent me?
I copied and pasted it into the private chat, Ron, just to ensure that we don't show anything that is not violating YouTube community guidelines. If you could just preview it for a moment. One of the things that we like to keep this show live. This is live as you're watching it, but we do have some safeguards in place to ensure that nothing crazy is going to be shown. One thing that's happened recently, we'll never forget the time when Ron decided to play some what's that? That wasn't Too Short. Whose rap song were you playing?
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
That was it. You were playing Sir Mix-a-Lot, and the whole show just got booted off of YouTube.
Yes. All right.
What are we looking at here?
So this is on Instagram. Someone wondering how a 6-year-old thinks of using a gun, conceals, and then successfully shoots a teacher. We've got a video of a kid.
Rack it. Dump it. Magazine.
Oh, so this child's been brainwashed by his family.
Dump it. Slow down. Dump it. Clear it.
1, 2, 3.
In the holster.
Well, it's good. I think it's good that you show your child how to switch out multiple clips of
This
bullets.
This in America is being rewarded with a pat on the back of good parenting, and we're going to focus on drag queens reading books to children, and somehow that is the scourge that needs to be kicked out of this country.
Yeah. Well, I think our priorities are Biden's documents in his garage, drag queens, critical race theory. These are all the alleged problems, while we avoid issues with mental health and shootings and a failing power grid and just a few other 100 things.
Ugh, what a shame.
Keeping in the crime area of our stories, Brian Walshe has been arrested for allegedly killing his wife, Anna Walshe, out in, is that Boston area, I think?
Yeah, right outside of Boston, I believe.
So this week, as part of bringing him in front of the judge to see if he would be held without bail, they provided a timeline of Google searches, which apparently Brian allegedly made on his son's iPad, starting with December 27th. He searches apparently for what's the best state to divorce for a man. So that's December 27th. On January 1st, Brian and Anna went to bed around 1 or 1:30 after celebrating the new year with a friend. In an affidavit, he told police that Anna left early that morning for her job in Washington, D.C., but there is no evidence she left the home. So then later that morning on January 1st, he does the following searches. 4:55 a.m. How long before a body starts to smell? 4:58.
Wow.
4:58. How to stop a body from decomposing? 5:47 a.m. 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. 6:25 a.m. How long for someone to be missing to inherit? 6:34 a.m. Can you throw away body parts? So apparently that he read that article for a while because he doesn't search again until 9:29. Yeah. What does formaldehyde do? Then at 9:34, how long does DNA last? Then at 9:59 a.m., can identification be made on partial remains? Goes quiet for a couple hours. So then he comes back at 11:34 a.m. Dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body. 11:44 a.m. How to clean blood from a wooden floor. 11:56 a.m. luminol to detect blood. 1:08 p.m. what happens when you put body parts in ammonia. And then 1:21 p.m. is it better to put crime scene clothes away or wash them? So then, Brian.
Wait a second. These are all his Google searches in one evening?
Just from the morning to the afternoon of January 1st. Then on January 2nd, he travels to a Home Depot and pays $450 in cash for supplies, including mops, a bucket, goggles, tarps, a hatchet, and baking soda. At 12:45 p.m., he searches hacksaw, best tool to dismember. 1:10 p.m., can you be charged with murder without a body? And then 1:14 p.m., can you identify a body with broken teeth? Going on then the next day, January 3rd, 3 more searches. 1:02 p.m., what happens to hair on a dead body? 1:13 p.m., what is the rate of decomposition of a body found in a plastic bag compared to on a surface in the woods? It's a very exact one there. And then 1:20 p.m., can baking soda mask or make a body smell good?
Baking soda? That's if you leave asparagus in your refrigerator for too long. He's thinking of lye.
And what's funny is after, so obviously the judge is like, yeah, we need to hold this guy over for trial, and no, we should not allow him bail. Yeah. His lawyers had to release a statement, obviously defending him, but to the point of, well, we don't want to say anything right now, but I'm sure when his day in court comes, we'll be able to put all of this into the proper context. It's like, I'm sorry, your guy's out buying hacksaws and goggles and asking, how one kill, how one bury body.
Now, do you think they got that from his ISP? Do they think he was just doing from his Google account? Like, how were they able to see his internet searches so quickly?
So, well, when they executed the search warrant on his house, they took all the computers in the house, so that included his son's iPad, which again is apparently the device he used to do these searches. Smart. I'll use my son's iPad, then I can pin the murder on him.
Do you think he was using incognito mode?
You know what? I think, this is, I think, a missed opportunity for Duck Duck Goose to really run an ad campaign and say, listen, this guy killed his wife and used Google. He could have been in the clear if he used Duck Duck Goose.
Because, it's all about your internet privacy. If we had a VPN advertiser right now, I would go right into the story, into an ad read. I feel like this year we get our advertising game back in action.
All right, I like where your head's at. I think as you continue to be 49% owner as we go through the year, you can work on that. My apologies. Thank you, William Esquire. Duck, duck, go, not Duck, duck, goose.
That belt's gonna be mine. That belt's gonna be mine. That belt's gonna be mine.
Let's
that belt's
see.
Gonna be
what else
mine.
we got here this week, Brian?
Gonna be mine.
Actually, Brian, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, if it's not too personal, what are you watching?
Oh, I started season 2 of White Lotus this week.
Okay.
Already knocked out half the season. Once again, the story is about various couples and families that are visiting a White Lotus resort. Season 1 took place in the islands of Hawaii.
Right.
This year, it goes to Sicily in Italy. F. Murray Abraham is one of the Michael Imperioli.
Yes, I mean, it really had a stacked lineup.
Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Recreation, and now I think she's pretty much just on everything. And Jennifer Coolidge brings back her character from season 1. So once again, you're looking at vacation porn. Everybody's looking at it, wanting to go to Italy, as well as just telling the stories of several unhappy people at the various stages of their life. I'm enjoying it. It's not really great television. I don't know that I would recommend it to someone.
Okay.
Hold on. Sicily is its own country. I'm going to not agree with that. I believe Sicily is part of Italy, but
maybe Matt can research that.
I also can't tell if Janelle is being sarcastic here with me or not. But Sicily is not its own country. It is part of Italy. I am 1/4 of Sicilian, so I believe if anyone's going to be speaking on that, it shall be I. Ron?
Yes.
What are you watching?
So I watched, what did I watch this week? I watched a new documentary on Netflix called The Pez Outlaw. It is about a gentleman who in the 90s started to make trips to Europe to get Pez dispensers direct from Pez Europe that weren't being distributed in the US to sell them to collectors in the US. It goes into like this Pez collector background. It was, and I see the look on your face. It was an extremely interesting documentary. Like there is this collecting subculture that this gentleman was able to take advantage of, and he became the sworn enemy of the head of Pez USA, apparently, who is also referred to as the Pesident in Pez circles.
No. You are not going to get away with the Pesident.
It's the documentary, Brian. It's not me. So again, it's about an hour and a half. It's a quick watch, very entertaining. I have watched the first 2 episodes of season 2 of Your Honor, the Bryan Cranston show, coming back for a second season.
How was that? How I missed season 1, and I saw a preview when season 2 was coming out, and I was like, I forgot about that show.
Yes, it's a little slow going, so I think it probably jumps ahead about a year from when season 1 ends. And it's doing a very good job these first 2 episodes and kind of setting up the storyline as to what to expect for season 2. Again, it's a little slow, so I hope it does start to pick up in the next episode. But as always, Bryan Cranston is fantastic. It's a great supporting cast. And I also watched the first episode of The Last of Us, new show on HBO Max based on the video game of the same name.
There's a video game, The Last of Us?
Yes.
What is the premise?
So the premise is that there is a fungus that has started to infect humans. It turns them into zombie-like creatures that attack other humans, basically decimates most of the world population. And then it fast forwards kind of 20 years into the future where it's like a kind of a dystopian future. But there is, of course, a child who can save us all, Brian. So, and Pedro Pascal has to keep her safe.
I read that Pedro Pascal,
I believe,
has not done that. Everything he has been in has like an over 95% approval rating.
He's pretty
on
solid.
IMDb.
Yeah,
like he chooses solid work.
I mean, he's the
I almost called him
Ryan. What else do you need to know?
Speaking of which, Mandalorian season 2 coming back, or season 3 now?
Season 3 now, correct? Yes.
Season 3 coming back, I believe March is when they've announced it.
Yep.
Now, if only somebody can share their Disney Plus login with me,
that'd be nice.
If somebody would be great, so that I did not have to pay for Disney Plus myself.
We'll reach out. Maybe Matt can contribute to the cause because he mooches off of everybody's login.
Sure, pay it forward.
Real quick, Brian, you were talking about White Lotus. There has been a theory going around the internet. A lot of people saying this is that apparently White Lotus is scheduled to go 7 seasons, and each season is going to revolve around each of the 7 deadly sins, with season 1 being greed, this past season 2 being lust. So it'll be interesting to see if there's actually anything to that.
Really? I didn't even pick up on that. Okay.
Brian, should we roll out our new bit? I mean, we don't have a bumper for it yet. We don't have even a logo for it yet, but we've decided to do our favorite story of the week. We talk about a lot of stories, but there are some stories that we don't necessarily get to because we don't know if they're going to have a ton of mass appeal. But they just appeal to either Brian or myself. So we're going to take some time to talk about a couple of those. Brian, why don't you start off with yours this week?
Okay, Ron, pull it up. Do you have it with? Do you have the link pulled up or no?
Let me pull the link up. Is there a photo that goes with this?
Oh, there is a photo that goes along with it. Listen, people, it is not. This is episode 241, and we all know that I am obsessed with trashing the great state of New Jersey. Any opportunity I have, I'm not going to say that I scrounge through the New York Post, the Daily News, New York Newsday, the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Trenton Journal.
This time's gotta stop.
Anyway, what's your story this week, Brian?
My story this week is that an alligator was found earlier this week in Monmouth County, which I believe is central New Jersey. An abandoned alligator was found in an empty lot inside of a plastic container. Who was stupid enough in New Jersey to approach an empty plastic container and take a look to see what's in it at an abandoned lot, and found what the police said was, I believe, that they measured it to be a couple 100 pounds.
Wow, that's a big one.
So this photo is not of a small alligator. I believe it was a different article. I saw the estimation. I believe they said it was somewhere between 150 and 200 pounds. And absolutely nobody has any idea where this alligator originated from. Once again, the great people in New Jersey illegally hosting alligators as pets and deciding, hey, when they hit a point where they're a little too big and now they're starting to eat real live chickens, I'm just going to abandon this in a lot and just hope for the best.
That is a problem.
New Jersey.
Well, that's an enjoyable story. Yes,
Ron,
sir. Yes.
What's your story of the week?
My story of the week, Brian. Brian, are you a fan of Pink Floyd?
Love Pink Floyd.
All right. Well, then I guess you already know that this year, 2023, is the anniversary of the Pink Floyd album Dark Side of the Moon. And as such, they will be releasing a 50th anniversary edition of the album, to which they have come up with a new logo for the 50th release, as you can see it on the screen now. And they have put the rainbow in the 0 of the 50. Well, Brian, there were a number of individuals who decided to comment this week saying how upset they were that Pink Floyd has apparently gone woke and is supporting LGBTQ causes with this new Dark Side of the Moon logo. Obviously, them not realizing that the original Dark Side of the Moon logo just had a light going into a prism with a mirror, with a rainbow coming out of it, because that's what prisms do with light. Across the internet, people were sharing comments on this logo that they updated as their profile picture, with people saying, "Lose the rainbow. You're making yourself look stupid. What is that? Pink Floyd, what a disgrace. From this moment, I don't listen to this band." And then someone named David Tutman, "Are you going woke with rainbows? Is there a straight flag? I want equal representation. Don't get me wrong. We should all be true to who we are. Peace."
Wow.
I think this is why I hate society, Brian. This is really my constant beef of the week, is people, and stuff like this is why.
I think what you're saying, and this is just another example of something we've tried to highlight, is one of the stories or themes that, just seems to be popping up way too much, is this lack of education. I'm not saying everybody needs to understand where what Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album cover art was, but it's the fact that we now live in this knee-jerk reaction world where we automatically perceive what we want, and we are so confident that it's our place to just start blasting away, rather than sitting there and saying, "Let me do some research, let me look into this."
Right.
And here, Alec, good point right here. It's something that the crowd yelling sheeple and snowflakes will look for any reason to get upset. Who are the sheep? Who are the sheeple?
I think my favorite response I saw to all this was someone that said, when Pink Floyd said we don't need no education, they weren't suggesting that was a way of life, people.
That's solid.
That is a solid burn. So that's my story of the week, Brian. All right.
I like that.
Yeah,
we do need a bumper for that.
And something different. I mean, if that would have been appropriate to have the Pink Floyd beats from NFL locks of the week and stuff. Like if we had some sort of intro, like
a song.
Stonks.
Like that would have been appropriate this week.
By the way, I love that. By the way, Stonk's having a good week this week.
Very good. I mean, we are with inflation seemingly coming under control. We are starting.
Don't jinx us there. I think we are still concerned that the Fed may have one more rate increase in them. Not all the information is positive. We're still seeing jobless claims lowered, employment still at record lows. People are nervous, and there's money to be made in the stonk market. If you are playing for the long game, if you're looking to make money tomorrow, dangerous. If you are looking to collect shares at a discount for 5-10 years from now, now's the time to be buying, people.
There you go. Brian, up next, a glowing obituary for a Utah man suspected of killing his entire family in a murder-suicide plot said he, quote, made it a point to spend quality time with each and every one of his children. As an online fundraiser, bizarrely replaced him with an image of Jesus in a family photo. We've got a photo of the entire family here. People believe that Michael Haight in the center there, age 42, gunned down his wife, Tasha Haight, and then their 3 daughters, ages 17, 12, and 7, and 2 sons, ages 7 and 4, back on January 4th. 2 weeks after she had filed for divorce. Also killed in the massacre was his mother-in-law, Gail Earl, age 78. But an obituary published in the local paper, The Spectrum, did not mention the killings and painted an angelic picture of the shooter, saying he, quote, excelled at everything he did after graduating from high school in 1998 as a sterling scholar in business, also achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. Michael spent the summer after graduation working in Alaska at a fish processing plant. His leadership skills, values of honest hard work, and determination quickly led him to be a line manager and over a crew of 10 to 12 men.
A line manager where? Like White Castle?
A line manager, I guess, at the fish processing plant.
Got it. And once again, Janelle finds this story funny.
It's sad, really. It's very sad. This is weird. So hold on, I gotta pull up another photo. If you will give me just a moment here. I didn't notice they actually also posted the photo from the GoFundMe with Jesus.
Here, look at this photo. So there's a GoFundMe. I'm not even sure what they're raising money for in the GoFundMe. Why? Because I didn't click the link because I was absolutely not interested. But look at this. They took the same photoshopped him out and put Jesus in his place. So this is a guy that murdered his entire family.
So the family is doing a fundraiser, obviously, because now they need to pay for 7 burials. So they replaced the father's photo with that's actually, all things considered, it's a fairly decent Photoshop.
Yeah, but they, somebody who had done a better job would have put arms coming out of Jesus.
Right.
Also, can I also point out a couple things here? First off, what's with the haircut on the 2 boys? I mean, I really feel like there's something to be said there for these weird white people who get their sons these really strange haircuts.
I mean, yeah, I have I've got no answer for you. It's high and tight. I mean, maybe it's a starter mullet. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here.
Well, the kid on the right looks like it's not even a military cut because it is pretty, high off his head. He looks like he's about to be shot, the look of fear on his face. And the kid in the lower right, there's a lot of real estate above the eyebrows and before the duck's beak kicks in. So I hope they are studying his brain to understand what's going on there.
Yeah, that's, it seems a little bit overboard, but who are we to say?
But what kind of asshole is going to sit there and be like, hey, we need to do a GoFundMe. Let's paint this guy as salt of the earth.
This was the obituary that really painted the guy as salt of the earth. The GoFundMe replaced him with Jesus, which I feel like you probably could have found a family picture without him in it versus Photoshopping that. But hey, who knows? Speaking of obituaries, Brian, we've got a bunch of celebrity obituaries.
People keep dying.
This week. First up, the world's oldest living person, French nun Sister Andre, born Lucille Randon on February 11th, 1904, the same year that Theodore Roosevelt was elected president. Passing away, she became the oldest person in the world back in April of 2022. She was a teacher, a governess that spent 3 decades working with orphans and taking care of elderly at a French hospital before becoming a Catholic nun. Listen to this, Brian. She lived through the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 and then also fought off a bout of COVID back in 2021. She tested positive at her nursing home, but didn't show any symptoms. Clearly a badass without a doubt.
Unfortunately, I wish that they had somehow gotten her hands unclenched from each other. If I remember reading one of the articles, one of the obituaries on her hands were clenched after, from over 80 years of praying, that her hands were literally locked like this for the last 15 years of her life.
I don't know that that's true, but I'll take your word on it. She also was a fan of chocolate and a daily glass of red wine.
All right. Well, Spanish red wine. As somebody who's recently in Barcelona, I'm going to say that the Rioja, that, the varieties of the Rioja, whereas they like to sometimes call them tintos, vinos, Well, just delicious. Spanish wine, some of the best I've ever had.
I'm going to move on before you slaughter the Spanish language any further. Also passing away this week. This was tragic. Ring of Honor wrestling star Jay Briscoe, dead at the age of 38 due to a car accident down in Delaware. Real name, Jamin Pugh. Was a longtime fixture in wrestling, longtime fixture in Ring of Honor, along with his kayfabe brother, Mark Briscoe. They held a number of tag team champions. He is also a multiple-time Ring of Honor world champion. From early indications, another driver swerved into his lane, hitting him head on. He was whatchamacallit, not wearing his seatbelt, unfortunately. They were real brothers. My apologies. He was not wearing his seatbelt. He was killed. The driver of the other car was killed as well. Jay's two daughters have a long road of recovery ahead of them. So again, just sad to see someone so young passing away in a needless accident.
Listen, I know people are going to come after me for this one, but you just have to wonder, I'm not saying that he would be in good shape, but would he still be with us had Mr. Briscoe here been wearing a seatbelt? I just feel like the data in front of us that, seatbelts save lives. There's a perfect example where you sit there and wonder to yourself, would he be still with us had he been wearing his seatbelt?
All right, next up.
I like the way you just completely sidestepped that.
I don't like the sidestep. I just, I like to know when it's time to move on. And next up, Anton Walkes, MLS player, dead at 25 after a Miami boating accident. He was a defender for Charlotte FC in Major League Soccer. He was injured Wednesday after two boats crashed near Miami Marines Stadium. So not much else reported about this accident just yet. Charlotte selected Walkes in the 2021 expansion draft after he spent 2 seasons with Atlanta United and made 21 starts during the 2022 season. He began his soccer career with Tottenham in the Premier League and spent time with the English club Portsmouth.
Was he wearing his seatbelt?
I don't know. I mean, they do have seatbelts on boats, but
because William Esquire said that, that there's really not much that a seatbelt could have done, when he's in a head-on boat collision. So William Esquire coming out there with the comments about seatbelts.
I mean, William has always been very anti-seatbelt. I've never seen a man hate a piece of fabric more than you hating the fact that I have this title belt sitting here on my shoulder.
Well, when he got the "Don't Tread on Me" forehead tattoo 2 years back, the man is a walking advertisement for libertarians.
There you go.
Small government. The government shouldn't be able to tell me what to do with my body. Just anti-seatbelt as much as as the next guy.
Next up, Philadelphia radio legend Jerry Blavat,
the Crypt Keeper,
passing away at the age of 82, starting his career in entertainment as a dancer on Bandstand at age 13. By the time he was 20, he began hosting his own radio show. And then along the way, took on several nicknames such as the Boss with the Hot Sauce and the Geeter with the Heater, which that one is a nickname that I still don't 100% understand. I don't know what a Geeter is.
With the heater?
Yeah, I still don't know what that is. He was inducted into Philadelphia Music Alliance's Hall of Fame in 93, and in 98 became part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's Museum of Radio and Records. He coined the phrase, "Keep on rocking because you only rock once."
I've never heard that phrase.
All right, well. And obviously, biggest loss this week in the music world, legend David Crosby, solo artist, member of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, passing away at the age of 81 after an extended illness. He was also a member of the Byrds. I forgot about his time in that band there.
Really?
Cause of death not yet revealed.
He hadn't been very healthy. I mean, I'm not sure. Did anybody have him in the death pool? Because I know you had him for the previous 2 years in 2021 and 2022. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, Ron.
I understand.
If we can ask Matt to pull them up to see, did anybody have David Crosby in the 2023?
So I did
Brian,
I did take David Crosby off my death pool this year. Brian, you
that's
of course
gotta hurt.
had him. Dom had him, and then both of our Williams, William Esquire and William B, both had David Crosby. So now we currently have a first place tie in our death poll with 19 points.
My audio just cut out. Is there any way you can repeat that? Because after you said that you left them off, it sounded like you then started to announce the people who did have him. That was when my audio caught. Is there any way you can just, we'll edit this out in post.
Sure.
Can we just go back and starting with I took him off my and then continue?
As often happens, sometimes a blind squirrel finds a nut. A broken clock is right 2 times a day, and Brian sometimes will pick someone who actually dies in his death pool.
Woo! Woo! That's right, baby. 19 points. Starting off the year strong. Ron, how many points do you have?
At the moment, I do not have any points, but I'm hanging my hat on my Pooh Shiesty pick, which I feel is going to pay off before the end of the year.
Well, apparently he's taken a couple trains recently, Pooh Shiesty. Is that correct?
Allegedly? He's had a rough time in prison so far. Hold on, let's see here. Allie just sent a little thing about where the Geeter with the heater moniker came from.
We've got a chat here right now. There's, she's all over the place with her chats.
I'm reading this. I get what the guy's trying to say. I guess it's just a nickname he came up with for himself. So, but anyway,
kind of like how you came up with the champ.
This belt was your idea, if I recall. You reached out to me one time and said, "Hey, Ron, wouldn't it be awesome if we had a title belt for the 51% ownership?" And I was like, "Listen, I'm trying to be humble about this whole thing, but if you want me to be the champ, then I will be the champ. You have created the champ persona, and you just have issue dealing with that now."
I'm sorry. Does anybody actually believe that it would be my idea to put together a 51% owner belt for the podcast? There's no way, Ron. That was all your idea.
I get it. It would be tough for people to believe that you contributed an idea to the podcast, but this was you, my friend.
All right.
Okay. Let's see what other stories.
That belt will be mine.
Let's see. We've got some weird news this week. The first one coming out of India. There was a weekend festival in the island state of Gujarat. It's the annual Uttarayan festival, where revelers are known to engage in kite fights in which competitors aim to sever the kite strings of other opponents. These kite strings are often coated with glass powder or even lined with metal, making them razor sharp. Well, apparently, they were a little too sharp because 3 children and 3 adults were killed when their throats were slit by the kite strings. Another 176 participants were injured after suffering cuts and falls with flying kites.
This is my story of the week. Wow. These kites were intentionally treated. The strings were intentionally treated to be able to be sharper.
Yes. So the goal. And I've seen these kite fights before, where people fly kites and again they try and cut the other kite string to win. Listen to these horrible stories, Brian. A 2-year-old girl identified only as pure teeth.
Should I put my hand in my pants now or afterwards?
Please do. She was riding with her father on his bicycle in Bangalore City when her neck was cut by a kite string. She died at a local hospital. In another incident, 3-year-old Kismet was walking home with her mother in the town of Visnagar on Saturday when a cord sliced her neck. She was rushed to a hospital and pronounced dead. And then in the city of Rakjat, police said 7-year-old Rashib Verma was riding with his parents on their bicycle when a kite string wrapped around his neck, resulting in his death.
Jesus
and then
Christ, that's scary.
3 adults were killed. Again, all of them having their necks sliced open while biking.
So it sounds like biking is really the dangerous activity here.
It would appear that way. And then breaking down the other injuries, 130 people suffered lacerations and 46 people were hurt in falls from rooftops and terraces while flying kites.
Wow, this takes the phrase "go fly a kite" really, to all new heights.
Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, we've got the Ron Jeremy story, which seems to have been going on for many, many years. Ron Jeremy has been facing a sexual assault trial. He's been indicted previously on more than 30 sexual assault charges. He has been declared unfit for trial because of, quote, severe dementia. A lot of people now very upset that he will apparently never see his day in court.
You hate to see that.
Yes. In 2020, Ron Jeremy, legal name Ronald Jeremy Hyatt, he was charged with multiple counts, including forcible rape, forcible penetration with a foreign object, sexual battery, and forcible oral copulation.
They should have just put the tip in.
4 women initially came forward with rape allegations. In the months that followed, dozens more women came forth with allegations that Jeremy abused them at parties, on film sets, and at adult industry conventions.
Oh, he sounds like a scumbag.
Yeah, very much so. And again, looking at him, you're not that surprised. Oh, Brian, look at you go, sir. You've got Ron Jeremy on your 2023 list. I think that's got a lot of potential.
Brush off my shoulder. This is the year of Brian, Ron. I'm 19 points ahead of you on the death pool. I've got Ron Jeremy dementia. We know where dementia goes. And I've got that glorious belt just calling out to me that says, "Bring me home. Take me to Queens. Take me to Queens."
I don't think that's where it's going to end up, Brian.
Oh, it's going to end up right around this, right here. It's going to end up right here. 51% ownership. I don't know how you're going to handle it, buddy. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt you so bad because I'm going to have that belt on every episode. I may just call you, FaceTime you out of nowhere. Just shine in the belt. Or here's another one. Do I go the opposite direction and just treat the belt poorly? Do I use it as like a plate with like a Burger King double Whopper?
You go full Stan Hansen and just like, drop it and bend it and break it.
Well, no, I mean, I ultimately, this isn't about breaking the belt. It's just about defacing what was once so important to you. Maybe I'll use it to put my pieces of gum.
Now, to clarify, Allie's asking, will Brian wear the belt to work like Ron does? I don't typically wear it to work. I may drape it over my shoulder in the morning and take a photo, but I have worn it to make lunch once or twice, which disturbs my wife to no end.
What I will be doing is wearing it to the UBS Arena on Wednesday, April 5th, wrapped around my belly.
All right. A mother and son duo are accused of running a brothel out of a South Florida home, with one sex worker alleging that she was paid according to how many condoms were used by the end of her shift. We've got a photo of the mother-son duo. So this is...
What's with the smile?
This is 28-year-old Glenn Yan Zuniga. All right, Latin. Well, that's quite a name. Let me try that again. Can I? That's Glenn Yan Zuniga, Latin, and his 52-year-old mother, Amparo Latin Barillas, were allegedly running the brothel. The mother was reportedly in charge of working the door and accepting cash payments. A sex worker found by the detectives at the brothel accused Barillas of telling her she had to work 3 days a week, in which she was paid $25 for each customer. She reportedly said she averaged between 8 and 10 customers each day.
And that is why I could never be with a prostitute.
Why is that? That's the reason?
Idea? Yeah. No. That's the reason. is the fact that if I come in around 2:00 in the afternoon, on my lunch break, is the fact that she's probably already had sex with 4 different guys, and then she's got another 4 later on after me. It's just the germs issue. I could never do it.
Gotcha. Now, what's interesting is they apparently paid $50 per sex act. So for the amount of money that you once spent at a strip club, you could have had 18 sex acts at this brothel. That is some interesting math right there. Take a sip of your beer, Brian. I think, well, before we leave, obviously we have to let everybody know that if you want to spend more time with Ron and Brian, and why wouldn't you? Every Sunday night at 9:30, for the most part, we hold After Dark, which is exclusive for our Patreon subscribers at the bronze level or higher. That's just $10 a month or more. So if you would like to join the After Dark fun, go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, go in the upper right-hand corner, click Become a Patron. And like I said, $5 a month, you get into the game, you get the audio and the video the day after. But if you really want to have fun and watch it live, the $10 level gets you there. And then at the end of every month, in fact, next Sunday, we're already at another pajama party again. We invite all of our Patreon subscribers to join us on the show. We don't have a Can You Beat Ron? We're doing that every other month now, correct?
I believe so. At one point we're doing them every month, but the games were taking up the whole show. And what we were really missing out was that community experience of just chatting about issues and stories and what was going on with everyone's lives. So I think we said we're going to be doing it in 23, every other month, a Can You Beat Ron, but every month a pajama party where we invite our patrons at the bronze or higher level to join us on the show.
There you go. And of course, in the coming weeks, we will be settling the Super Bowl bet to decide the coveted 51% ownership title belt. Next week, we've got the AFC Championship matchup already lined up. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals going to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. The NFC Championship game will be in Philadelphia. It'll be the Eagles against either the Cowboys or the Niners. Right now, Niners only up by 4 points with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's
the line is 4, so that's not good. Ron, I did want to point out to you, I thought that I had read that Kansas City Bengals was going to be in a third party. At Kansas City, or was that with Buffalo?
That was with, if it had been Kansas City and Buffalo, the game was going to be played in Atlanta Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Okay.
In fact, they had already sold 50,000 tickets for that game, which obviously I think gave the Bengals some motivation to go out. And it really wasn't even a close game. 27-10 Bengals. Ridiculous.
Absolutely. Once again, Buffalo, even at their home court, home field.
Yeah, that works better.
Just doesn't show up. Buffalo, people still try to say they're the only New York football team around nowadays, with the Jets and Giants playing in New Jersey, the disgusting state of New Jersey. Nice. However, I'm just going to say Buffalo didn't even show up to play today. Cincinnati, congratulations. I hope you lose. But let's go 49ers. Brian's got a bet on them today.
Giants got embarrassed last night, though. 38-7.
Speaking of which, as a Philly resident, I know Allie's head just exploded because she's screaming at her computer right now. He lives in the suburbs. He's not in Philly. Were there any stories about outlandish Lincoln Financial fans' behavior?
It was surprisingly calm. And for those of you who weren't aware, Eagles fans love their tailgating, but some of the lots only open at certain times based on game time. So some of the lots were going to open at 1 p.m. yesterday. Some were going to open at 4 p.m. Until people realized that our indoor lacrosse team moved their game to 1 o'clock from the evening to not conflict with the Eagles game, which meant that the lots for the Wings game opened at 8 a.m. So once that happened, Eagles fans realized all they needed to do was buy tickets for that Wings game, and they could get into the same lots that they could park in later on for the football game. So there were a ton of people tailgating from 8 a.m. up until that 8:15 game time.
Ron, do you realize how many people I would shoot in a mass shooting just so that I could not show up to a tailgate at 12 hours before a game?
I tailgated with a buddy of mine once for an Eagles game, and it was miserable. It was absolutely miserable. It was a 1:00 game, and
Sure.
he's like, all right, so we got to get down there at 7 a.m. of course. And I'm like, what the fuck you mean? Of course. It was raining and sleeting.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the old vet stadium. So, I mean, everything was open to the elements. We were in the 600 level. It was the game that Michael Irvin got his career ending neck injury. I mean, it was just a brutal day without a doubt.
I saw a baseball game at that park in the summer. I think I was also sitting in the 600s out by center field.
Yeah, it was an unforgiving stadium without a doubt. All right, Brian, let's wrap this up. Let's get ready for After Dark. Thanks to
much
everybody.
like those prostitutes were telling their clients with the used condoms, wrap it up.
One more inappropriate comment before we go. Brian, I love you, my friend.
Ron, I love you more. I look forward to doing this show every week with you. I love everybody watching this right now. Listen, people, if you are listening to this audio version or you are streaming it on Facebook or Twitch, do us a favor. Go to our YouTube channel. I'm not even saying you have to watch it on YouTube. Give us a follow. Subscribe to our channel, Ron and Brian Podcast. Right now, our numbers are, in the low thousands. We want to get those numbers up a little bit. So if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Right now, we're really using it as a repository for all of our podcast episodes. One of the things John and I have talked about is putting out some exclusive content on YouTube. We're close to being able to monetize. We're not quite there yet. We need your help. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, go to Patreon, help us out. Little as $5, $10 a month. Whatever you're willing to. Obviously, if you want to give us $1,000 a month,
we'll take it.
We would appreciate it. But we're not putting pressure on you. Love you guys. All right.
Thank you all for joining us. We will catch you again next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian Podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again